thing is, my epiphany. This is the simple thing. It's the blue pill and the red pill. It's the industrial model of leader and of leadership as a position.
Then if that's your epiphany, Michael, and we feel comfortable, let us go along a bit of a journey and say we are comfortable with what you've described. We know that the human animal, we like having that term. The reason that great man theory got to be where it is we like it. That's why we've done what we have with our churches. You know, Scripture doesn't tell us that we have to put things on high and all of that. Man did that. We like that. We like to have that going on. So in order for us to be able to do the best job we can with a relationship of service, helping a process take place to get the most accomplished we can in this relationship that we're evolving to, as you describe in your credo, how do we do that in such a way to keep our human animals happy, us, the mindset we currently have coming out of this industrial definition we're used to?
My answer is, that's why the flag's here. I thought this through. I said, I come here and pitch to you and spend an hour and 15 minutes talking about why I think this is important. And again, the only time you can really do leadership is when you practice it, right? It's the shown, it says, reflection and practice. I'm saying I think I'm pretty well grounded in the scholarly part, but this is the part you take with you and test it out. This is the part where you actually, when you hear the word leader, you got to question, is there a better word? And when someone uses the word leadership to intend a person in position, and I believe, we're going to start talking to people this week about servant leadership. And I love servant leadership. It's just when Greenlee talks about it explicitly in the book, or he has written this and it has been interpreted as being servant first, leader second. And the word goes up. The flag goes up. Servant first, leader second. Why does he use the word leader? Is that the person that only does servant leadership, the leader?
It's a compound noun. They're equal. You could switch them, but it doesn't flow as easy.
It doesn't flow. But then again, you look at the book.
Nothing implicit in that.
Look at the book by Bowman. Primal leadership. EQ as leadership, and he talks about the EQ leader. All I'm saying is that we throw these terms around, and what I'd like to have some intentionality of saying we choose to use the word purposefully, leadership, and we stop as a scholar before we use it. How are we using it? How are we throwing the word leader around? Is it the best word? And how are we then using the word?
You're suggesting not a solution, but a process to achieve a solution.
Exactly. I'm saying, like Gandhi said, we have to become the change we want to see. We know that we like leadership as relationship, but we still fall back to talking about, the leadership. Oh, those people in position. But then we'll talk about the leader in our philosophy statement.
Well, see, we've switched our vocabulary a little, so we talk about the administration as those people in position, and leaders are different.
Well, that's quite Claude David. He went into working at a deanship, and then all of a sudden they had this leadership group, and he changed it back to the executive group, or the administrative group. Used, again, in the same sense of, you hear the word leader, is there a better word?
Yeah.
When the word leadership means a position, is there a better word? There is a better. It's the administration.
Yeah.
It's the senior executive council. It's not the senior leadership council.
You're just saying define your terms.
Yeah, that's the essential thing, is in communication we should be scholars and define what we're saying. Now we just want to get it out and get that.
Well, and it's more than that. It is, we ought to really know what we're talking about.
Amen.
And
Can I add a comment? Because I've been waiting here. You mentioned leader, this acceptance by the human race and what have you, and this is what people like. And believe me, I've went around the horn with Michael on this whole issue. But fundamentally, we like SUVs and Big Macs and everything else that's not good for us either. We have to make a fundamental decision to change our way of being and do what Gandhi said, again. It's just, we can't accept the status quo simply because it's the status
I'm
quo.
going to use my 15-second thing because it's a different book on the gloomy future. Australia is a beautiful place. You go there, you want to live there, right? The issue is, I believe, the Americans, right? Oh yeah, we both do. I believe we're in the fourth phase of a critical time in the American culture. Revolutionary War, who we are, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Second one, Civil War, and the period just after when the Emancipation Proclamation. So you're saying men can't own men, and states can't have ultimate powers. Again, what did you remember about the Constitution and life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, all men are created equal? It's like reaffirming things. Next one was the Civil Rights Era. What did you understand about the Emancipation Proclamation and all the things before it? You got to legislate these new laws. I think we're in the middle of something that Clark was talking about. We're in a crisis and a conflict of the control of the mind. We are being branded to. Women in the suffrage era were given cigarettes as a sign by the R.J. Reynolds people that are R.J. Reynolds today. They were given free cigarettes because they were in this revolutionary path and they wanted to show their freedom and smoke, and it was just a trap to get you in for the longer. Right? We get, how much do you get bombarded with pop-up ads? How much do you get told what the brand of, oh, I'm wearing this, and that's really important, or I get this red thing. We become an American because we live in the American dream. And just like Santa Claus, when the kid realizes that there isn't a Santa Claus, you know, there really is still an American dream. The things we own end up owning you. It's like on the Fight Club. And the bigger stuff you get, and the more you get, the more money you got to have to get more stuff, you end up going, what's life really about? What's the point? Get back to the one that, in the beginning, what's the word? What's the point? What's the point of leadership when I sit and look at, there's now a spiritual gifts inventory. You're talking about in the religious era. Leadership is now a spiritual gifts inventory. And there's people doing doctoral dissertations here at the seminary that are studying leadership as a spiritual gift. That is a recent occurrence. I haven't traced exactly when, but we know that the word leadership started around 1830s, and I think as a spiritual gift, as they're studying it coming from Romans, is only a recent reinterpretation of the hermeneutic of what Romans really meant, and it's through leadership. Again, Bibles and leadership. I've done the study of all, 1, 2, 3, a dozen different Bibles, right? King James Version, 0 occurrences of the word leadership. All some of the new ones, the Amplified Bible, the New Message Bible, 20 words leadership hit on that Bible. It is an industry, people. You can take the blue pill and join the industry. You can take the red pill and we'll start using leadership as a purposeful relationship. And we will purposely be scholars and we'll use it in a way which we can then become the future. Dissertations. Andrews University. 54 hits of dissertations that have been done that have the word leadership. You can look at this. Everyone is studying a leader. Everyone.
Say what?
A leader. Oh, that's right. 54 times. And it's not, I mean, you look at this and you say, it's not bad. The public sector leaders were studied. But it was leadership requirements for the 21st century, you're Canadian, you know, and I'm going to look for the future, and you talk to the senior leaders, which actually were the executives that 1 stars and above. Again, pay their pay. That's all I'm saying. We have a choice. And as we choose, like, we can choose to make it be a person in a position, and, you know, Santa Claus is a great theory, and so is great man. And so are heroes. And I'll tell you what, I've met a lot of heroes in my life. And some of the best heroes are the guys that don't, they say, I'm not a hero. That's why we're in leadership chaos. One thing, Santa Claus has a problem, socially constructed. This is where it also, one of the great heroes that I knew, Jim Stockdale, vice presidential candidate with Rough Road. Prisoner of war, 7-some years in North Vietnam, tortured 90% of the time. Epictetus basically said, this is a Stoic philosopher, so this is after the ancients, who said, there are things in our control and there are things that are not, and truly a wise man will be that knows what's in one's control and what's not. It's Jim Stockdale, who just finished a master's degree at Stanford in philosophy, who studied this, was coming down on his parachute, being shot down by the North Vietnamese, looking down at the North Viet Cong about to capture him, he says, Epictetus, my friend.
Here I come.
Here I come. Out of my control for the next 7 years of torture. And you know what? I was out buying some stuff I'm in Colorado now, at a nice Earth-friendly store, and there's a brand called the 7th Generation. And you know these wonderful Iroquois people that the wonderful new Americans killed and eradicated? Actually had this thing in our every deliberation. We must consider the impact our decisions on the next 7 generations. But let's go give them their own place. They didn't believe in owning land either. So the whole bees, we traded bees, who cares? They didn't believe in owning land anyway. There's a choice.
you land we don't own.
Yeah. And they thought they were getting over with a big deal. We're like, hey, they don't care. We're bees.
What was that, that thing you got at the store, though? It's the brand of what?
Oh, 7th generation breads.
Brands, or,
Well, that's the brand name of the product line.
and what's the product line?
This was Kleenex, and it's all recyclable stuff.
That was the point.
That was the whole point. I really think that using the word leadership to mean something else, we just throw it around, it's pretty sloppy work.
Well, it's become a buzzword. Another buzzword.
It's overused to the point of useless.
Well, I'm interested in asking the question then, if it doesn't have any meaning inherently, what does it mean? That's another.
Well, it's like an atheist saying, I don't believe in God.
All right?
The mere fact that the atheist says the word God, I recognize it as something.
It's a brand. See, I think
It's the industrial world, it's a brand.
I think it's a brand, it's an no, it's not even just it's not a whatever at all, it's an aspirational brand. Anybody, I mean, many of you and us, all of us, we're here because it's an aspirational brand of you. If you aspire to a degree, if you aspire to be in leadership in an organization, in any element of your life, talk to anyone who works in any plant, in their church, in their family, you aspire to be included in the leadership.
And you don't aspire to be in the administration.
Or to be just a servant.
So on some dimension, it has implications of steps.
Absolutely. That's the left side.
Michael, go back to your 2 definitions, please, after you threw the topic.
Go back to
The 2 definitions, one was a person and one was a
relationship, the right side, and it's a person, a position, or a craft, or an individual.
You know my dissertation is on the whole history of this program. That was set up on the 2nd definition. So I guess my basic question is, what's the problem here?
What's the problem here? You can take a course, and at the end of it, there is no point. It's studying UCL, and at the end of it, you just study UCL. I'm saying, I want to go into a scholarly, just like Ross' class. At the end of Ross' class, he had a so what. The so what was to say that there is an industrial school. It is all about hierarchy, control, and Clark's briefing before. There is the left-hand side, there's right. For us to throw the word around in a meaningless sense, to study books that at their essence, like Gary Uckel's book, and I've had emails with him, and he hates me. That's okay. I love the good professor. He's done a phenomenal job.
Because he believes in the left-hand side.
He's caught up in the industry.
He's in the Matrix!
He's in the Matrix, and he's and we got to go back and find out where take the red pill. And it's a bad ride, because I'll tell you, there's not many people that care to even spend time with me, including family members, including email coworkers. It's difficult. I'm stretching my own mind and stretching others like Clark and Good Jim.
Taking that red pill, you may discover that you're still in the matrix, even though you've gone down that rabbit hole.
And that's where we always say we should always be critical and reflection. Schoen says, scholar practitioner. That's why this book, I come up with this book, it's a beta version, because I'm not saying I'm at the end point. We're never at the end point. That's why I like this leadership program. That's why I interviewed 3 years ago, and it's like that. It says there's always a way to grow. So I believe in that. It's just, again, we're in this mindset. It's money. Money talks. Money will get things, and we teach the same stuff.
But I would say, Michael, the one point I think that's so important, and you bring up that I think we can, whether or not people agree with it or not, is that what has happened with leadership is it has caught, just like scientific management did in its day, and other things did along the way. What leadership has done in the last 25 to 30 years, it has been the aspirational concept that has allowed people to say, I want to be in, I want to be part of, I want to write about, I want to do seminars about. And so it does hold a place no matter what your discipline, whether it's civilian, military. And so when we go to do this change that we need to embrace, it's bigger than merely language.
Yeah, but let me go back to the essence part. I'll ask anyone who wants to take this real quick test, if you like these kind of tests. As soon as you recognize what it is, say what they are from left to right, and read them aloud. Ready? Go ahead.
Oh, Paris in the spring,
Go ahead.
once in a lifetime bird in the hand.
Do you agree?
Yep.
We're on it?
Paris in the spring, once in a lifetime, bird in the hand.
One more time.
Paris in the spring, once in a lifetime bird in the hand.
Paris in the spring. Once in a
You need more coffee.
See, the issue of this is, and this was a study on intelligence for intelligence analysts, was that, no, it's not you see what you want, you see based upon your previous understanding, you know what these phrases are.
You're correcting.
Right? And so the intelligence analyst needs to see everything absolutely new. Picture, 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 you interpret every picture as being a brand new picture. We are prejudiced based upon these background assumptions that we believe, and it's the whole issue. It is an industry we want to be part of. We're here to get a PhD, to jump in the fray, and look at all the preponderance of the books that say, study situational leadership. You know, Percy Blanchard, right? Situational leadership. Here it is, number one, leadership studies journal. At the end of this thing, he goes over 25 years of situational leadership. This is Blanchard.
What is that, the Baker College one?
Yeah, this is the first issue. 25 years. 25 years of empirical research and study. And at the end, Blanchard summarizes by, this model has yet to be investigated conclusively. We need more research. It's inconclusive. You know what? The epiphany was, you know, the more we study individuals, they are individuals. 21 irrefutable laws, 7 habits, who cares? I'm saying the future is leadership is an influence relationship that occurs episodically among participants. I'm not labeling leader follower. Episodically among participants who intend essential change based upon their ability to do influence. So it is a lot, the great man stuff is kind of okay. Because if the 7 habits rhyme for you, and you individually can do that and engage in this relationship, the episodic relationship of leadership, that's okay. And what we're going to do is actually have some mutual purpose. So I bring a lot of the Ross stuff forward, that mutuality of purpose is its essence, and I have a little thing about ethics. So I have used Ross, but again, I extend it in the sense that I think fundamentally what was wrong with Ross's definition, which was leadership is an influence relationship. I don't think that sells. Leadership is an influence relationship. No, leadership needs to be a purposeful relationship. We engage purposefully together. And he says, and the next line is, it occurs between leaders and followers. And I think that's the whole problem. It occurs between leaders, and I'd say, you know, good Professor Ross, and I've got a big long tome I've written to him, and he said, you know, Michael, I'm going to take a couple of weeks to respond.
Yes.
This is the right.
Well, leader-follower is directionality rather than a relationship.
It is subservience, and, you know, there's one above and there's one below. Mateship is this way. Fellowship is this way. That's the right one. That's the right one.
Could you have come to this conclusion if you hadn't visited Australia?
No. Because I had the hardest time. I was with the chief of the Air Force, and they were doing a complete change of what they thought was wrong with the Air Force. And they had this big survey that was done by theorists out of Hawaii. He's saying that it was basically a cultural issue. The Air Force is the leading edge in most militaries in a lot of ways. They're not the grunts on the ground, and it's the technologists. And it's a harder job, I think.
Somebody's got to do it.
It's an alternative to military
It's an
service.
alternative if you want to be in a corporation. I know he likes that part. No, in the Australian mindset, absolutely. You go out on a Barbie and your mates, and you go, wow.
You don't have any real respect for anybody.
No.
Amen.
That's another way to say that.
It is
Yeah.
a fundamental, healthy disrespect, especially for those in a position of anything.
The Prime Minister's just joined.
Yeah, and if he had a sexual relationship, that's one of his little job. Yeah.
Is that because they were all convicts in the beginning?
Yes.
Basically it is.
And now Australians are proud that they were.
We had the 12 public syndrome stuff. Anybody that starts to rise above anybody else, we'll cut them off. So you learn very quickly not to try and be ahead, because by doing that you commit suicide.
Oh, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, it's the great equalizer.
Yeah, we cheer for the underdog. Like we don't cheer for the man who wins.
Just means to being ahead.
And also, yes, I have 5 minutes. Okay.
Well, you have 8 on the tape.
You know, yesterday the general talked about working together and everything, but that's not the way it is. I mean, I've worked in that environment, and it's, you're the leader, and you do what they say, you know, and it's nice talk and nice words, but in reality, that doesn't
You know,
happen.
it's the practice. And I'm saying, here's your chance to go out and practice it, people. You got your little flag. When you hear the word leaders, a better word. When you hear leadership as a person in position, you got your flag. This is your chance to practice if you want to get engaged in a purposeful way. And this is Edmund Burke, who said the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And you choosing not to choose, you've still made a choice. And this is long goes. Because the industrial model is the predominant model. And another Australian story, I got down there, I said, could you explain this culture? And the guy goes, well, you know, in America, you see a guy driving a big Cadillac. You say, you know, someday, I'm going to have one just like that. In Australia, they say, hey, you see a guy driving a big Holden? Someday, I want to take that away from that guy. I want to take it away. It's a healthy distrust for anyone that's got something else. Absolutely, essentially, and that was that party. My very first party was, we were mates. And we were chatting about stuff that really was about ourselves. Wow, it's not American. Americans can't understand it. And Australians love to give Americans a hard time because when I went over there the first time I was briefing, you know, I'm my current retired Air Force intelligence, blah, 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 resume, and then you see it, going, what a wanker. You know, it's actually,
We say that here too, so.
yeah, right.
Not about you, but.
Well, you can. Right. This is one of Jim's slides, and it just gets back to the issue of, here we go, that's the predominant theme. This is our belief in the great man theory. Sometimes you make wrong decisions, you followers, so you really need us leaders.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. And don't forget on the sheet that you're going to fill out for ranking and grading and stuff, a 5 is low and a 1 is high. 5 is low and a 1 is high. I think that's wrong. That's it. I've really got about it. Is that
He can
you know, Penn
transfer.
State, one of the top schools of education in the United States, just changed their educational administration program to the educational leadership program this summer. And I actually emailed them, and they have replied, could you tell me the substantive reason why? Are you doing leadership now and not administration? Ooh, don't ask those questions.
A lot of school districts have changed their district administration office to the leadership center.
Well, Ford Motor Company did a big thing on leadership with NASA in there, and now it's a bad word.
Yeah, and I go back to the whole issue of Fight Club. He says, we've been told, you know, we want to be the hero, we want to do all the great, we can be the Superman, we can be the rock star, we can be all this stuff, but they lied.
A big part of it is packaging and what it's worth in the marketplace. I mean, don't lose the commerce angle of it. It's unfortunate, but true.
This is my only, I leave you with this, it's on my little card. If you want to take, I've got a pile of them, if you want to take some with you, that's why I made a couple hundred. Take them, share them, spread the joy, let's be purposeful. It's a purposeful relationship. We can become the change, and all it takes is you to think. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, I have.
And I just got served by my ex-wife. She wants to take everything. This is the only time anywhere I've announced where I would be in the last 3 years. It's on the internet. Michael Kearns will speak at the school. She knows I'm going to have to come. Here you are, Mr. Kearns. They brought that here. Oh, yeah. Just got this before I started. But it's beautiful. And on top of what happened last week. Oh, yeah. I am too. Nobody has to
Well, this is last week was fun. On a roll.
Welcome to the club. And
I didn't know how
Monash
to
University has a leadership research unit run by Jim Saros, and he is an MLQ seller. MLQ, research ideas about leadership, and
You got one, right?
it's transformation.
I
It's
agree.
transactional. And he's
Haven't heard enough from
got
you. I miss you.
He wants me to come over here. Jim, this is fine. What do you think about this? I heard back.
Yeah, that was it.
Well, that's very scholarly too, isn't it?
Well, good for
I
you.
camp. I volunteered at the camp there.
And
and I stayed home.
Fundamentally, it is all about marketing. Okay, not just this, everything you
Stayed
said,
home, just
it is all about marketing. Afghanistan, soldiers doing great things in Afghanistan.
But she
One
went.
of two things has happened, either they're not doing the things or they
I
are.
like that one.
Either they are, but the good things aren't being done. And in a manner that people in the United
Parts
States
are, I
are.
don't know, anyway, you cut up everything.
So one of two things is
Things
occurring.
are very nice shoes.
I'm willing to bet it's the
They
latter.
talk about all day.
But
I took her up there.
I can repeat the same comment about that. Okay?
You don't make a distinction.
Well, there are either good things going on here, or bad things, or a mix.
Purposeful, and that's
Yeah.
what makes me angry.
Okay, so what happened, I was gonna say,
Where's Tim?
He's talking.
We'll ask him.
Rest
Oh,
will be
what's the
9 years
plan?
old.